thought that I would make this video due to a very bizarre supernatural occurrence. And before I even continue, I just don't want people to think that what has been going on, I've been harmed in any way. Certainly have not. Everything is okay. And, I just feel, I guess, a little bit like excited about it. Now, what I mean by that is, I wish my camera was on. That's just first of all. But what ended up happening was I made a video about shadow work, right? And what ended up happening was that, interestingly, that when I did shadow work and I made that video, I went to the bathroom and I kid you not, this is going to be so bizarre, but I heard music. No, it wasn't from my laptop, it wasn't from my phone, but music just ended up just playing all by itself. And what type of music it was? It was bagpipes. And I tried to do some research about bagpipes, about how the Irish and the Scottish, they both have their own version of it, and how it could be used in marches and it could be used in a funeral. So I did, my own research. But interestingly, that particular music, those bagpipes that were actually playing, it definitely wasn't of the funeral type. But it was the type that it was more in line with the marching, like it was more ceremonial. And upon doing research, when you think about bagpipes and its spiritual meaning, it has a lot to do with pride, bravery, and the list goes on. But it's usually connected with something that's good. But I thought it was interesting because how this apartment is actually, if you look at the architect of it, right now this is the living room, and just a few feet away is my bathroom, so the doors are open. I finished making a video, I go into the bathroom, and 3 times consecutively the bagpipes were playing, and I'm like, what is going on? It's not the neighbor, it's not outside, because you could obviously know, because I've been here for years, where you could tell when something is playing outside of the apartment. Because it's a little bit muffled, but you can still tell there's a difference. And you could tell if it's outside, because it won't be muffled, but you would know what is outside of your house from what's going on in your living room. So, yeah. So, it played 3 times. So if it played 3 times and I'm in the bathroom, it was so funny because every time I looked up, these 3 consecutive times, it would stop. The first time, it was playing its tune, and then it stopped, and then I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Continue doing whatever I do. It plays again. I look, and I'm looking at the living room, and the music just stops again. And I'm like, what is going on? It's really upon the 3rd time when I looked up, the music played a little bit longer, but I wasn't done washing my hands. So what ended up happening was like it just shut it off seconds before I was done drying my hands, or even whatever. So I checked my phone, I checked my laptop, I checked even the music that may have been possibly been playing at that time, and it was had nothing to do with bagpipe music. I guarantee you, my playlist will not have bagpipe music on it. I mean, I love my my black metal, and it's, believe me, black metal to bagpipe music, 2 very, very different things. You can't get mixed up with dark funeral and bagpipes, believe me. So here I am, I'm playing, I guess at first I'm saying perhaps I'm playing with myself in a sense where, you know how it goes. You want to deduce everything. I'm like, well, maybe it's these things, that I just mentioned. But then it started to even make more sense, where it's like, no, it's not these things, because I was, in fact, deducing everything that may have been, and the explanatory source of where this bagpipe music was coming from. And though it's been like a day or so, I still don't know why I heard the bagpipes, but it was going on. So I'm not too sure if you guys have heard music like within your own mind or outside of it, and you probably went to a forum and you're like, what happened? I mean, I'm not on medication, and I'm not. You get the rundown. It's like I'm trying to explain, like, any sort of, like I said, any sort of source that may have caused this, but I just find it not a coincidence, but strange that right after I do some shadow work, that has taken place. Now, in broad daylight, I remember this happening about a week or so ago, and I was actually going to get some breakfast. And I kid you not, I know I'm laughing about it, it's just because it just excited me, but at the time, it was really strange because here I am, I'm walking down the street, and there was this person walking toward me. And all it took was just a second for me to avert my attention, looking at my boots and looking back at the direction of the person that was apparently walking toward me, to only find out the person wasn't there. So I thought that was kind of strange, because this is like a one-way sidewalk where it's like, even to the right of me, you have these houses. So I'm saying to myself, perhaps the person could just go into the house. But that would still be pretty convenient, and that person had to been the Flash himself to actually do that, because there was still a ways to go from the sidewalk from the person's house. And I didn't see the person there. And there was no trees in the way or nothing like that of that sort in the way that could impair my vision, to block my vision from saying perhaps they're behind that pillar or that tree. It was just the person didn't go in that direction. But to the left of me, there were cars. So I'm like, that sounds even more reasonable. What if the person just got into the car and I just didn't know of it? But as I walked closer to the vehicle, interestingly, there was no one in the only vehicle on that side of the street, because the sanitation, right? They had to come here in New York. The sanitation would come and they would have to clean, the road. But there was no one in there, and I was actually I was so desperate in trying to actually solve this that, my dude, I looked under the car. I try to look under the car to see if the person may have been under the car, and there was no person under the car. And I was like, that's pretty fucking far out. And it just doesn't end there because that happened within the time frame of me going to the store, and then coming back. The same thing was constantly happening. So let's just say all that took about good 20 minutes. That happened at least 3 times. The second time, what happened was, as I was going back home, the same thing happened. And I'm exhausting all options, and I'm like, maybe I'm going insane and I don't know it, or I'm slowly going into insanity because of what I do. I do a lot of black magic, and I'm like, perhaps this is just more signs that I'm just going insane. And of course, to me, that can be likely, but I look at the source and I say to myself, well, I'm not endangering myself and I'm not endangering others, because I do believe my black magic and how I use it is to help others. Just like if I were to do a free video about opening up your chakras, which I still want to do and I'm going to do so, I'm not doing that because I want to be evil. I'm doing that because I really want people to understand that black magic, if when it's incorporated the right way for the right reasons within your world, and you're trying to help others with it, that's the intention. But if there's any backlash of it, I'm not saying that there's no backlash, because the backlash is definitely that whatever type of magic you're doing, you have to expect some sort of backlash, because you are changing your reality all around you. That's just how things are. But still, trying to exhaust my options here. And I'm like, well, good. It seemed as if I'm going like insane, but hopefully not. That's the most I can do and can say at the moment. And then the third time that this happened, and I find this to be like really, really like awkward, is not so much seeing an other person. This time it's more like I was going through like my doubtful moments, and which we all do, and I'm like, well, how am I supposed to manifest, even small lump sums of money if I can't manifest the big one? A little doubtful moment. And mind you, even after I resolve the issue, because our answers lie within us, it's so funny because after I, how can I put this? I'm trying to put it in chronological order so that you can understand, because these events happen all within a certain moment of time. And I believe, yes, I was coming home. I was thinking about like I was going to the store, but I was actually going home at this point. And mind you, this is after I resolved the whole idea of manifestation. And no one saw the amount of money on the floor. Nobody but myself. And mind you, we had two different groups. The person walking toward me didn't see the money, and then the family crossing the street didn't see the money but myself. And I'm saying, oh wow, here's money. And then I pick it up and I look around. Now, except for the other experiences, they were actually people. They weren't like apparitions, but they walked their own way, far enough where I couldn't ask them the question like, hey, look, is this your money? But they walked further away from me, so I couldn't really do that. And I just looked at it, and I just thought it was just very strange that right after I had a little doubt of my money spell, and I basically resolved it by, going within myself, clearing away that doubt, no one saw that money but myself. Now, the point of me relating a lot of these paranormal experiences is, yeah, fine. We could deduce, we could look at things in any way we should, so that we could basically realize like if it's really coming like from our own minds or we're making it up or whatever have you. But one thing that really did shock me is that these are the things that happen to most of us, but a lot of us are not brave enough to get on camera and tell other people. But I know for a fact that when you work with demons, little under 10 years, these experiences become a lot more frequent, and you become a lot more used to it. Perhaps the word used to it, maybe I could exchange it for a certain word, but I can't think of it right now. But I know instinctively a lot of people that are listening, there's just certain stuff you just can't get used to. Because if you think about it, if you're doing a ritual and cold hands touched you as you're doing a ritual, I don't care how badass you are, that could freak anyone the fuck out. But that's why I'm saying you just can't use the word use, but, well, say that for now. But these are the things that I'm able to relate. They're not as major, but I would definitely make yet another video for those type of, experiences. And what I mean by that is that I have a lot more experiences where it's like, people would just be like, oh, wow, that's fucking sick. And it's like, well, Yeah, it is because of the very fact that it did in fact happen. I mean, after all, it is my story, and take it with a grain of salt if you want. It's cool, and I understand. But if you guys have any experiences, please share it down below in the comments section. And please smash that like button, and at the same time, please subscribe if you want more content. But I can't wait to hear and see what you have to say. See you soon. Bye.